Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It is July 12th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And before we get started today, I got a couple of emails and actually a few comments on the video yesterday that my price action looked very different, and some of you were concerned about being on your end and so forth. But in the end, the problem was on my end. Um, I'm still not 100% sure, but it doesn't seem to be any problem today. I've verified my chart a couple of times with another charting service, and it's lining up pretty much perfectly. So I believe the problem yesterday was while I was out away from my desk that either there was a power outage or else just an internet outage. And by the time I got back to my desk, it had, things were going again. So I believe it's probably an internet outage because if it would have been a power outage, I think I would have. I don't think it would have restarted like it did, and so needless to say, um, I do believe that it was on my end. Whether or not I've narrowed down the issue completely is to be determined, but no problems today. So I'm not going to be worry that much about it at this point. I'm going to watch my data closely for the next couple of days and just see what happens. Um, but at this point, I'm looking at it having been an internet issue. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there for anybody that was worried about their data and that maybe being something wrong with their data. I believe it was on my end. So um, anyway, let's talk about the trades. I'm doing this a little earlier today than normal, but I've got a commitment I've got to be at this evening, so I want to get this done and get it uh, uploaded for you. When you see this right here, this does not seem like it, but this is a very, very strong trend. And generally, you won't get a correction like this that's lasts this long. Even though we're going sideways, this is still a correction. We got this channel coming up. We got a break, a new high. We went into a correction, and then we kind of started back up again. What usually will happen is you'll get a little bit of a correction, and then it takes off again, and the strong trend starts back. So it was a little bit unusual in that manner. But when you start to see a lot of little bars that just keep going higher and higher, and you don't have any real big corrections, that's a strong trend. And so you got to kind of throw out the idea that you can't go long into the highs, because if you don't, you're never going to get an entry. And that's just the way it goes. And even once we started back here, it still looks like one of the strong trends. Notice how there's just lots of little bars. We keep making higher highs and higher lows. And it doesn't go very far before it backs up, and then it just keeps going and keeps going, and you never really get a big correction. And that went right into the 2 o'clock hour, at which time we sold off into the close. So generally, this thing will, once you get a little bit of correction, it'll either correct and then take off again, or it will just flatten out like I thought it was going to do here. Notice that I had this early on, and I thought it would flatten out and just keep going, but it doesn't. We ended up correcting, and then it starts back here. So there's an entry here as well. I didn't mark it, but we'll talk about it, and it's real close. It could be blue, but at this point we didn't really have two measured legs down. So although that is strong support across there, and there's a little failed break lower, but I was looking for this leg here and then leg two, and you said we were real close, so it's close enough to justify making that um, at least an aggressive trade. But it's real close to being at blue. And notice too, there's one move down, a little correction, and a second move down. So it's two legs in that leg as well. Um, so anyway, let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap up today and move on here. But just as I came in this morning, notice we got a little trend working up, and we shot up and we pulled back to the trend line. Notice that those that new low right, that's a double bottom, so that's a new low, and you push up first entry short, you get a second leg up, second entry short, and where does it bounce? Right off that trend line. It's not a great signal bar, but you don't need one when it's a reversal pattern in a trap. You want to go long, one tick above that bar right there. Just put your stop there. And if it turns up, it's going to be a trap, and we're probably going to go higher. And you can see with that one bar right there, that's how you know that there were a lot of people trapped, because that's what all those people that have to exit real fast drive it up real quick, and you get a quick, easy scalp. But better than that, if you got a runner, you hang on and you ride it all the way up. And once we got to the upper side here, you didn't have a whole lot of price action to know for sure that this was going to be the upper side. But you drag it over here to this side, and when it touches and starts going correcting here, that's probably a good place to exit. At least once you get a low, like right here, move your stop up. And if you'd done that, once you had two legs down, if you'd put your stop there, you could have kept on riding it and gone again. The key is if you move your stop up to the next break lower, like right here, you get stopped out. Or even below that bar, you get stopped out. So you got to account for what I call noise. And there's, the market can always move 3 or 4 ticks in any direction without really changing direction. So the overall trend is still up, but you can't get your stop so close that you get stopped out, only to watch it keep going without you if you're trying to continue higher. If you just want to scalp out, get your 4 ticks and go. But you leave a lot on the table. And it only takes 1 or 2 runners that get you 3 or 4 or 5 points like that to start to really change your numbers. So they're important. And especially on trend days, you want to try to catch those runners. And generally, they're going to be off the key entry points. So you would have caught one here, one here. You might have caught one right here. I'm not sure, but depending on how your chart is, but you definitely could have caught one on these 2 spots. So, but anyway, this is a strong trend. So you got your reversal pattern right here, and then we punch up and you try to go lower once. This is really one move down. There's 2 legs, so you try to go lower once, then twice, and it bounces right off the key entry point. Nice bullish bar. Yes, it's right into the highs. This looks a little bit like a range, but with that being a key entry point, and the market trying to go lower once, twice, 3 times, and bouncing with that bullish bar, like I said, this is looking like a strong trend. You might have wanted to hold on this one, but once you start seeing these little small bars and lots of dojis, definitely go long here when it bounces again, and then it actually pulls back. So if you were in here, I'd add on right here, and if you weren't, I would, because this is a failed second entry short here now, and you really could argue for this one to be blue as well, because it was just such a short jump. I was kind of a little hesitant about it when I was watching it. So, I try to call it like I would see it, if I'm doing the trading, and I probably would hold on that one, especially if I was already in here and already added on here. I don't know that I would add on again. But you can argue for it because this is a double bottom, and that's a first entry. Second entry, it's almost a repeat, just on a little bit different level than right down here. And if you measured, it's probably very close to the same move. You can see that it's within a tick of being a perfect measured move, being an exact move. And that's generally what you look for. If you get a third leg and they're not all 3 equal, measure your first one and see if because your last one or your third one was going to probably look very similar to your first one. So that's pretty common. Yeah, you could have entered there and there, and then it pulls back again. And at this point, this really looks like a really strong trend. The only reason I probably wouldn't call this one blue is because we did close outside here now, and you've got 3 or 4 bars with matching highs. So that's a little bit different than just a little short pullback. Was really struggling to get through there. If it pushes through, it's probably going to be good for at least a scalp. So you might consider it. I'm marked at green. Same thing here. We've got a break and a close outside a new high. So we're probably going to try to establish something new here. We may go sideways for a while, or we may just angle over and keep going. So it's a little bit risky. you're probably better off to wait on a lower high on the second entry, and that comes over here. So I like entering here. Um, and when it doesn't go anywhere, you might have gotten shaken out of that one. It gets a little worrisome that it doesn't take off. But on a day like this, it's creeping up that trend line. It's probably going to go higher and make a new high at the very least. And of course it does. And it looks like this is going to be a nice little channel. And suddenly it just shoots down. And you don't want to be going short here. Even though you got to close outside and then you move to a new high, I would not go short here. You might go short here on the higher low, but I'd want to see that reversal pattern, and that doesn't come to here. And so you take that one. But now you've had a break of this little channel. It was going sideways, and this is like a little breakout pullback short too. A breakout pullback short is not a very good entry, but when it's a failed second entry long and you're looking for a retest of this low, and it's probably worth taking that one then. So I did. That's the only short you'll see today. You got to be careful shorting on a day like this. As long as you got room to get out from here, I'd be okay with it. It does shoot down, and you get a little double test right here. So you could have gone long right here. Notice that new low. And that's that little failed break lower, and you get a higher low here, but it's right into the EMA. I think you're better off to wait and see what happens. And it just kind of continues to go sideways until it pushes up, and it comes back down, and you finally get that little failed break lower on 2 legs down. And we just talked about this one. Notice that low, tested it once. You really could call that 2 test. But that's really all the same move, so that's like the double test over here as well on a broader, just a little broader double test. And nice reversal bar right there. We're probably going to head back at least to here, so if you got room to get out there, and we may retest here and here, and it just keeps going. You end up with a little trend line here. You can't enter right here on the higher low. You're going sideways. You got at least, one neutral bar in there, 4 or 5 bars. Wait and see if you get that reversal pattern, and that comes here, and that would have been a nice, easy trade. And then, of course, now it's starting to look like a strong trend again with all the little bars, and you're just steadily making higher highs and higher lows. So you may enter any of those until we got the overshoot here and another new high. We overshot it right here, so I'd start to get a little leery in here. You probably still could have got out, I think, right in here. Now there's not quite enough there, so that's a good reason that you wouldn't. Plus, it's right at 2 o'clock. Not a good time to be entering an iffy trade. There is a second entry there, but this is your signal bar, and it's a horrible signal bar. And you did have that overshoot, so I don't even think you want to risk that in any way. If you did enter there, when it just keeps going sideways, take what it'll give you and get out. Get your tick or two, or get out and break even. Because next thing you know, it's going down, and it goes down all the way in the close, so there's no chance for it to come back. All you're going to do is just keep giving up more money if you hang on to it and give it room. So you don't ever want to give a trade more room. If you're wrong, get out and start over. Because when you start giving a little more room, it'll work out occasionally. It'll probably work out just enough that you'll continue to try to do that, and then but you'll end up in the long run losing money doing that. So that used to be one of the things I struggled with, was thinking, I was smart and I could read the market really well, and I know it may go like right here. I'll say I know it may go lower, but it's probably going to reverse, and it did reverse. I figured we might get that little failed break eventually. It'd go higher, but sometimes it doesn't. And you might have thought that like right here, and it went up, and then it keeps going down, and that happens sometimes. So, we're not gamblers. You cannot make money in this market if you're a gambler. We only want to trade sure things, and sometimes you got to sit patient. And really, from about right in here all the way to over here, you really had to be patient, because even this short, even though that does fit our criteria for going short, you're probably better off to skip that. And then all of this stuff right in here, just so iffy, just skip it. And wait and see if you get that failed break lower, or if you get a reversal pattern, and then you can start trading again. And so that's what separates really average traders from good traders, is the ability to be able to sit there patiently and wait on a good setup and not force a trade. And that's hard to do sometimes, especially if you. Okay, I had a distraction and I have no idea where I stopped off. I've been away for 20 minutes or so. I think I talked about all the trades and just was kind of wrapping up the day. But I hope I didn't miss any of these trades. Um, yeah, I just can't remember what we talked about, so where we left off. So I apologize, but I think we talked about all the trades. Uh, I know we would have talked about all of them, but maybe this one, and that was just a failed second entry short. Uh, Notice the new low, first entry, second entry, and you know it confirms the trend line. It's the third touch of that little trend line too. So, but yeah, you just had a nice, what looks like going to be the kind of trend that keeps going all day that really didn't in the end. So, um, you know, if I'd have been based on my experience, a betting man this morning, I would have figured that we would probably flatten out a little bit like so, or maybe even two-tiered, maybe have another down here and go on up for the day. And that just didn't happen. We went more sideways. We did end up bouncing and starting another similar trend with all the little bars and the little small moves that just keep going higher and higher. But it didn't happen as quick as I thought it would have. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up for the day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.